So a lot of people have started to view me as like the ultimate authority figure on community servers on YouTube, which is fine. I think that I really have played a lot more community servers than I have like actual TF2 like casual or quick play when that was a thing. And because I'm working on a lot of other projects right now and don't have a ton of time to sit down and record stuff, I figure, you know what? Something like this would be really fun. Just kind of ranking my personal opinion on community servers, talking about like how much fun I think they are. This is literally just my opinion entirely. It's not like saying, oh, this is how much fun you will have on community servers. This is just like, when I played it, here's what I thought. Okay, let's go. So, Balloon Race. I probably should give a short explanation of what these are, just in case no one's played them, but Balloon Race is basically a mode where two teams are racing on these, like, blimps, and the blimps kind of move forward the more people you have on them. I've not played a ton of this mode, so I'm not sure all of the, like, intricacies and how they work, but I do know that there are, like, points that are along the preset path of the blimps, and whichever team actually gets to those points first can get off the blimp, capture the point, and I think that's how you win the game. I played Balloon Race a couple times. I've not played it a ton just because I don't see servers that are running it that much, but Balloon Race, I think, as a concept, is a lot of fun, and both times, or I guess the couple few that I played it, I've really enjoyed it, so unfortunately, I'm going to put this in the never played category. I don't think that I've like had enough experience to really judge this here. We're gonna name this the not played enough category. But yeah, Balloon Race is one that I would love to try to play more. I just wish that more servers ran this. It's a unique game mode, and I can see it being added along the likes of like manpower and stuff like that in the miscellaneous section of the official queue. So something like this where you're kind of like racing, it really is like just payload race on steroids, but something like that would be a lot of fun. Let me know if you've played this, really any that I've never played. Let me know if they're any good. I would love to try something new and potentially have fun with it. Class Wars is perhaps the closest to normal TF2 that we're going to get in this list. Basically, like, how you play Class Wars is each team is comprised entirely of one class, and I think the classes are usually randomized. Either that or they're like medic versus engineer or like something preset, but yeah, Class Wars is like, it really is just normal TF2 except two teams that are all the same class are fighting each other. It's pretty fun. You can kind of get screwed over occasionally by the randomization that happens. I mean, I remember playing it once where like I was on the sniper team and we were against spies. That was not very fun. We just kind of got destroyed half the time. You either were using a Razorback or you just got revolvered to death. But in terms of like some of the more niche modes, I think medic versus engineer, probably the reason they run that a lot, or maybe they don't. Maybe I just like have happened to see that a lot and it's confirmation bias, but it's pretty fun. Because this is just normal TF2 with a gimmick, I mean, normal TF2 is pretty fun. I'm going to put this in always enjoyable. I think I would never really mind just hopping into a Class Wars server and playing around for a few hours. The only thing that I will say is, I mean, like a lot of these game modes, I just don't see it around that much. Death Run is a mode where there are the runners that are trying to get from the start of the map to the end of the map, and the killer, there's like one person on the blue team, I don't know what he's called, but like the blue team or the game master guy has control over the entire map, and by doing that he can activate traps to try to kill the red players as they're running. The red team wins if any one of them gets to the end of the map, and the blue team wins if the guy on there is able to kill everybody before they get to the end. This is a mode that suffers from one major problem that a couple of these suffer from, which is arena-style gameplay. If you die in Death Run, you are out for the entire round. There's no respawning, otherwise it would make it too easy for the runners. The problem that this causes is that if you're not already really good at Death Run, and you don't have, like, insane map knowledge and know exactly what to avoid, or you just, like, play really, really carefully and just stick in the back of the crowd, which isn't really fun either, you're probably gonna die pretty quickly, and, I mean, you just have to, like, sit there for the rest of the round. And usually, just to like kind of rub salt in the wound, there's like maybe one or two really good players who make it way farther than everybody else, and it's like it's kind of a mind game between like that one runner and the game master. So yeah, the rounds usually last a lot longer than they necessarily should, but because of that, I just don't enjoy Death Run. I think it's like It's fun to play every once in a great big while, but I would play like any other game mode before I chose to queue for Death Run. It's just like not a very well set up game mode because, like, let's face it, any game mode where you're like literally sitting out for over half the time isn't fun. Like, if I have time to go eat an entire bowl of cereal before I can respawn, yeah, I'm probably not going to like the mode very much. So I'm going to put this in, well, this is a painful experience. Honestly, though, like, I don't like it. Some people will, like, live through this mode, but the people who really like this mode in the current day and age are the people who somehow got really good at it, and they're the people who last, like, really long and never actually have to sit and respawn. So, I don't know. It's just, like, it puts a damper on things. Dodgeball is a mode where both teams are all pyros, and there's one homing rocket that's shot back and forth, and basically you have to, like, reflect it if the rocket's coming at you, and either you successfully reflect it or you get hit and lose a lot of health. The rocket speeds up the longer into the round you go, so it's not like really easy to just like continue to reflect it over and over, so the games don't last a super long time unless the server's pretty full. However, the Dodgeball is also an arena-style game mode, so you're probably going to be sitting there for a while if you happen to get out early on, which is kind of sad, because I think that Dodgeball itself, like the core concept, is not only pretty fun, but a great way to kind of practice like pyro air blasting mechanics. Now, I know it's not one-to-one practice. There is a lot of stuff that you can do in Dodgeball just by the nature of the rockets homing towards you that you can't do in normal TF2. I don't remember what the term for it is, but like if a rocket is slow and it's coming towards you, you can kind of circle strafe and have the rocket orbit around you, which is a pretty good way to kind of, I don't know why you'd actually do that, but you can do it. You can, and there's a lot of like neat techniques in Dodgeball that allow the skill ceiling to be really high. The problem with Dodgeball, on top of it being an arena style game mode, is that it really does suffer from a lot of veterans who are really, really good at the game. I used to be one of them. I tore up servers, and a lot of people expressed that the mode sucked. And after not having played for a while and coming back and like trying it out myself and getting destroyed by who are now the veterans, I agree. It's like, it's kind of annoying to be sitting out half the round because people are like locked in these intense duels. It's not super entertaining to watch, although I can definitely understand why this would be fun in like lower player count servers, I guess. So I'm going to put this in fun on occasion. I mean, like, every once in a while I'll hop into a game of Dodgeball. It really is like a great way to like just practice air blast. It's a pretty fun and like safe environment, and on top of that, I mean, there is an objective that you can do too, where you have to like be the last one surviving on your team to win, which I don't know. I feel like objectives in training make it a little bit easier to kind of do for long periods of time, since you can say like, oh yeah, I win this game, or I don't win, and that's like my goal. So I don't know. Dodgeball is just not too bad. I just don't like to play it in super long spurts. Gun Game is a mode that's pretty similar to gun games and other games that aren't TF2. I know like Call of Duty, I think, was the one that invented it, and CSGO has Arms Race, which is pretty much the same thing. But like the core concept of Gun Game is that when you get a kill with one gun, you're automatically moved on to the next gun, and you have to get through like a preset cycle of weapons to win the game, and then the game ends when you get a kill with, I think it's the golden frying pan in TF2 Gun Game. It's been a while since I played it, but yeah, it's a pretty fun mode. The only thing that I don't find enjoyable about Gun Game, which I know it's like intentional game design just to make sure the games are always close, but like the further along you go, the harder it is to get kills with the weapons, just because like, I mean, you start with stuff like miniguns and rocket launchers, but eventually you end up with like pistol or like the Thompson or something stupid. So it can be a little bit infuriating trying to get kills, and it's not impossible to get stuck on a weapon for long periods of time if you just like aren't good with it. But it's a great way to kind of like practice a lot of different play styles and different weapons, and also being able to think on your feet in game, which is pretty fun. And on top of that, there is some strategy, because there's stuff like target prioritization. Like, do you try to kill the guy who's in the lead to make sure you can't get in the lead, or do you kill a bunch of weaklings to boost your own rank? Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with Gun Game. I think it's a pretty fun mode. You're playing for pretty much the entire time, since it's usually around instant respawn. on, and because of that, I'm going to put it in always enjoyable. I'm always down to sit down on a gun game. It's been a while since I've seen servers running this. So yeah, maybe send a gun game server my way if you happen to know one that's still running. But anyway, now we have Jailbreak. So Jailbreak's kind of hard to explain. I myself am not 100% sure on why people enjoy this, but it kind of boils down to a jail simulator, I'm pretty sure. Like, one team is the prisoners, and they just have to do whatever the guards, which is the other team, say. If you don't do what the guards say when you're a prisoner, or if you don't do it well enough, then you die. And Jailbreak's an arena-style game mode, go figure, so if you die, you're sitting out for the rest of the round, and unlike the other game modes, there is absolutely no sense of urgency either, so, like, if there are only 2 people left alive on the prisoner team, that might be a while. That could be a 10-minute lifespan for both. It is one of the most ridiculous game modes I've ever seen. Jailbreak is almost like an interesting psychological case study, and I would encourage anybody like going into the field of psychology to play on Jailbreak for at least an hour. I promise you, you'll have like almost a full thesis just observing human behavior in there. Every single person who's playing as the guard acts like the hardest, toughest person ever, and every single person who's playing on the prisoner team is a lawyer who inevitably knows every single rule and every single loophole and will report you for killing them when they don't think that they've broken one, even if they have. It is possibly one of the dumbest game modes ever. It attracts a lot of children, and because of that, the only proper way to play the Jailbreak mode is to troll the absolute crap out of anybody who is taking it seriously. Now, you can do this by throwing sticky bombs all over the place and acting like you're going to blow people up. You can do this by, like, raiding the entire server with your stream chat so the guards actually can't do anything when you decide to mass rebel. There are plenty of ways that you can derail an average game at Jailbreak. I'll leave it up to your own imagination, but yeah, playing this game seriously is like the worst possible. It's a fate worse than death. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy, although coincidentally, a lot of my worst enemies like Jailbreak, so yeah, I guess take that as you will. Anyway, we're putting this in right-click hide server, although again, like, I'm gonna say that, like, I'm gonna judge the game modes based on how you should be playing them, because trolling Jailbreak is not a game mode. Jailbreak is the mode. I just happen to be doing everything against what you're supposed to be doing, so yeah, it's the worst mode I've ever seen. If you like Jailbreak, please feel free to, like, submit to my psychological study. I cannot wait to write my thesis. Alright, pedantries aside, now we're on to jump maps. So jump maps are basically just, like, extended rocket jumping parkour courses, or occasionally sticky jumping or scout jumping as well. I've seen both of those. Jump maps aren't really as much of a game mode as they are a good way to kind of like practice rocket jumping, but like a lot of people say that they find jump maps cathartic because like on top of like if you are really good at rocket jumping, you could try to speed run maps as well. So I mean, the speed cap on these, or I guess the skill cap, is pretty high. There's a lot you can do with jump maps, whether you just want to like play it slowly, try hard. Really, it's just a cathartic mode for a lot of people. I personally am not the biggest fan of jump maps anymore, although I used to play this for like hours and hours when I'd get home from school every day. So, I mean, I've played my fair share of these. I'm going to throw it in fun on occasion, though. I don't necessarily like just jumping in, well, puns. I don't like playing jump maps a ton anymore. I just like, I feel like I'm so bad at rocket jumping nowadays that they just aren't even fun anymore. Plus, there's a better version. If I just like want to chill, there's a better game mode that's kind of similar that I play. But jump maps, it's kind of hard to dislike them. I'll put it that way, because like there's always room for improvement, and you have to actively be against your own improvement of the game to like to actively hate jump maps. MGE is a game mode where you basically 1v1 somebody else, and it's a great way to improve, or it should be a great way to improve. Normally what happens when you play on MGE, this is entirely on my own experience here, is that I'll go into a server and the person that I'm fighting is either like some like 10,000 hour like UGC Platinum All-Star that just wipes the floor with me, and there's no hope that I could ever do, and then they like spam Lenny faces in the chat. But then on the other side of things, I'll also just face people like Timmy Gonzalez 2009 and wipe the floor with them, and then they just like leave and it's not fun either way. It's very rare that you get good matchups in MGE, and I feel like just because of like, you have to try hard, otherwise you're not going to find this mode fun. And because of that, a lot of people take it very seriously and either get really, really mad, which is kind of funny if we're being honest, or they make you really, really mad just by like BMing you, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm just not enough of a try-hard to get use out of MGE. I've tried it a couple times, but I enjoy, like, the more team-based efforts of, like, playing normally or playing other community game modes. I don't know. If you're not a competitive player, I just don't think it's worth your time or your energy or frustration. So I'm going to put it in a painful experience. I think that, like, again, save yourself the mental strain. Don't get into MGE. All right, next up we have Orange. I put this on here as Orange, but what it should be is just like deathmatch, like anything that doesn't have a specific objective that could be like higher tower, no carts. Honestly, deathmatch in TF2 is objectively the best way to play the game because you can do whatever you want. There's no pressure for your team to capture the objective. You can work with your team or independent of your team as much as you desire. You can try out strategies. And because it's a community server and there's no objective, a lot of wacky things happen, which means communities are able to easily be fostered and grow and get to know each other. Deathmatch in TF2 is some of my favorite memories, whether that's just on like random trade servers like CP Orange, Higher Tower. There's a lot of fun to be had with like no objective in Team Fortress 2 because like, honestly, instant respawn, just fighting random people is like, you can make it as hard or as easy as you want, but since you're always playing the game and you're always at least getting to know somebody in one way or another, I will argue that it is better than normal Team Fortress 2. It is some of the most fun I've ever had in any video game, getting to know random people that I still talk to today. Anyway, we're getting sappy. Go play DM. Orange is a misleading title. Yeah, let's move on. Okay, now we're getting to the last few, which I have a lot more experience with. Prop Hunt is a game mode a lot of people know about, so I won't talk a ton about it, but essentially, like, it's hide and seek, but the hiders are disguised as, like, in-game objects, and the seekers are pyros that are trying to discover you by hitting you with flames. I think TF2's Prop Hunt is objectively the best version of Prop Hunt, although, I mean, I might be a little bit biased since I've not played, like, many of the other ones, but through my experience with, like, Gmod Prop Hunt or whatnot, TF2 has a lot more mechanical depth just because of, like, pyro flying, of, like, it's double jumping that you can do as props. It's kind of a fun mode. I think the concept of hide and seek, even though it's an arena-style mode, I like Prop Hunt a lot more because the rounds usually don't go a super long time. Now, that being said, Prop Hunt becomes extremely unbalanced if you hit either of the extremes of player count. Like, if you have a lot of people on the server, then it's going to be really hard to do anything as a prop, and if you have, 4 total people on the server, then it's going to be hard to do anything as the seeker just because the scouts can outmaneuver you. So it's a little bit, there is a golden ratio that you kind of have to hit for this mode to be the most amount of fun, but like a 8 to 16 person server is a lot of fun, I find, and honestly, I wish there were more servers running Prop Hunt. This is a mode that I could play for hours on end, so I'll throw it in always enjoyable. I've made videos on it in the past, I think. It's pretty easy to parkour around people because they don't know what they're doing, so hey, maybe there are people who feel the same way about Prop Hunt as I do about, like, Dodgeball or MGE, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to Randomizer. Randomizer is a mode where basically all of your weapon slots and your class are completely randomized at the start of each life. And on top of being randomized, the weapons that you get don't have to be normally equipable by the class you are, so you could be like a medic with a rocket launcher and a backpack. You could be a scout with a sniper rifle. There's a lot of, like, interesting gameplay that can occur, and because it's randomized, I mean, I'm under the impression that anything that's randomized has literally an infinite amount of entertainment because every single life is going to be different, so yeah, I think Randomizer's a lot of fun for a long-term play. Now, what's interesting about Randomizer 2 is there's a lot of extra strategy on top of the randomness that occurs. If there's somebody on the enemy team who has an insanely good loadout, you can target them specifically, even if you have to kamikaze yourself, and it makes them switch the loadout, and it's kind of a tactical maneuver, and target prioritization is definitely more valued in that mode than others. But on top of that, I think it's also kind of cool to be able to use different combinations of weapons that you wouldn't normally be able to use, and kind of being able to adapt your gameplay style on the fly. So Randomizer for me, this is probably, I wouldn't say like among the most played game modes that I've played, but it's up there. I've played a lot of Randomizer, so I'm gonna throw this in always enjoyable. Always a fun time with Randomizer, and I kind of wish Randomizer.tf was still up. That was by far the best server that I've ever seen for that game mode. Super Smash Brothers or Smash Fortress, I don't actually know what it's called, but Smash Brothers for TF2 is a game mode that works in a very similar way to Smash Brothers for like the actual Smash Brothers, I guess, where instead of shooting people to drain their health and trying to reduce their health to 0, the more you shoot somebody, the more their percent goes up, and the higher their percent is, the more knockback they take. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to like basically shoot people off of the map, and I think it can be really interesting in 3D with a lot more range weapons, but unfortunately, I never got into this. I never was like one to really play Smash Brothers a lot. Just I think there were a lot of other game modes that I played more. So because of that, Smash Brothers is going in my not played enough category. However, based on like entirely conceptual thoughts about it, I think it would be really fun. So I kind of regret not getting into it when the servers were a lot more bountiful. Now we're on to Surf. I love this mode a lot. So Surf is, I have Air Arena pictured, which is different than what Surf normally is, but it's a game mode that exploits a glitch in the Surf engine that you can slide along sloped surfaces by holding the strafe keys, and by doing so, all of your momentum is completely maintained, so you can get like really fast speeds and try to complete like maps, or you can do whatever you want. There's plenty of variety in what Surf actually is. I think Surf is the mode that's like better than rocket jumping in my opinion, because it's a lot more calm. There's a lot, I'm not gonna say, I guess there is like less technical skill involved in surfing. Like once you get the core understanding of like, yeah, here's how I stick to ramps and go off of ramps, there's not as much like skill required as rocket jumping. So I feel like this is like something that a lot more people can enjoy. I personally really like Surf. I'm not super good at it, but like the Surf maps that I have played have been really fun, and it's just kind of nice to just like hop on there at like however early in the morning, watch a YouTube video on my second monitor and just kind of chill. However, Combat Surf, which is basically Surf, but instead of like trying to get from the start of the map to the end, it's a big arena style and you're flying around, is some of the most fun combat that I think I have ever had in Team Fortress 2. Because you're going so fast, a lot of things change, and you have to be able to hit people that are going at really fast speeds while yourself going at really fast speeds. So because of that, Surf ends up being like a very adrenaline heavy mode if you're trying as hard as you can playing it. And I mean, like, especially on maps like Air Arena or some of the other ones. Air Arena's by far the best one, but yeah, you can get a lot of enjoyment out of Surf. Air Arena, Utopia, and then just a couple others are really, really fun maps. I used to be an admin on a Surf server, and I enjoyed every second of it. Surf is just an incredible mode, especially Combat Surf, so I'm going to throw it up and better than normal TF2. I don't know, Surf is just like, it's kind of like Deathmatch, but like a really, really high-speed Deathmatch, and that's what I like about it. Next up is a mode called Stop That Tank. I'm going to be honest with you, I've never played Stop That Tank. I've joined a Stop That Tank server one time ever. The server crashed within like 2 minutes of me joining, so I never got to play, and that server never came back online to my knowledge. So this is a mode that has been like the elusive one that I hear a lot of people really enjoy. I never got into, and because of that, I'm going to put it in not played enough and recommend that anybody who is or is not a fan of this mode, let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious to hear what I'm missing out on. Like this one in particular, just because I've heard so many good things about it, I think is one that I would be really interested to try if I could find a server with below 100 ping. So yeah, send servers my way. I'd I'd love to try that one out. TF2 Wear is based on the same principle as the WarioWare games, which is kind of the fact that you have to play micro games, so to speak, which are like less than 10-second games. You have to try to like do a specific task as fast as possible, and you do a lot of those in a row over the course of a round of TF2 Wear. This is basically like the good version of Jailbreak, in my opinion, because it's Simon Says, except instead of like some random child telling you that you have to do things or he'll kill you, you just do it, and you can do it to the best of your abilities, and if you don't do it, then oh well, you just don't get the point for that round, and that's how it is. And usually at the end of TF2 where there's like some big finale round, like a bumper cart maze or something like that, where people compete based on like how well they did on the micro games leading up to it. But I think TF2 Wear is like, it's not one that I would always hop in and play, but when I'm in the mood for it, it's a lot of fun. It's like, it's not super, I guess, how do I word this? It's not very high octane, I'll put it that way. You might be bored playing this if you're used to like TF2 and like combat, but if you like TF2 for the movement mechanics or just like, you just like to play, it's fun. So I'm gonna throw this in fun on occasion. It's one of those ones that's like super inoffensive, and I think everybody can at least get like the baseline level of enjoyment out of. I just don't think that a ton of people would want to invest a lot of time into it. Next up, we have Versus Saxton Hale, which is a game mode where it's basically everybody on the red team versus one person on the blue team who's playing as Saxton Hale. The Saxton Hale player is restricted to melee only, however, they have a lot of health. They also have a super jump, and they're very fast. So basically, it's the game of, can Saxton Hale kill everybody on the red team before they deplete him of all of his health, or vice versa? Conceptually, Saxton Hale is one of the most fun modes in TF2. I think that the Juggernaut game mode style is a lot of fun, and it opens up a lot of new play styles, and like requires a lot more teamwork that you normally wouldn't be able to use in normal TF2. And because there's only one target, you can do strategies that are cheesy. You can do like hit and run strategies. It changes the game mode a lot, and honestly, again, I think this would hold up on its own as like a separate mode to be added to like the official rotation of TF2 if it was polished more. The main problem that I have with Versus Saxton Hale is that, number one, it suffers from the same, well, no, it suffers from all the problems that Dodgeball has, where it has the arena respawn timers, where if you die, you're out for the round. It has a lot of veterans who will clean the floor no matter what team they're on, and it's kind of frustrating to play. And on top of that, I think that the current servers that run VSH are not the best. I know Skyle, Brew Crew, those are the two big ones. I'm not a fan of either one. I think like you should definitely try Saxton Hale, but like right now is just not a good time to get into it if we're being honest. However, if they made it so like people could respawn, however it just like took like 20 seconds or whatever, and Saxton Hale had to either kill everybody at the same time or get up to like 50 kills first, something like that, where he had to get a set number of kills but everyone was in for the round, that would make it more fun, maybe a little bit less balanced. But I know a lot about this mode. I know what problems it has, and I know that these servers that play it right now are not the best. Despite everything I just said, I'm gonna throw it in always enjoyable. This like really is one of the like cornerstones of Team Fortress 2's community servers. Like, it's one of the ones that if you play community servers, you have to try Saxton Hale at some point. I have a couple modes that I'll give at the end that I think like everybody should try at some point, but Saxton Hale is like, it's one of the best ones, I'll put it that way. TF2 times 10 is a game mode where all of the weapons that are in TF2 have their stats multiplied by 10, give or take. Not exactly. If you've ever seen my channel before, like at all, I probably don't have to give this a lot of explanation. I love this mode. It has its own balance. I like it for the same reason that I like Surf, where it's like kind of a death match, but not only is it a lot faster paced than normal TF2, but it's also more interesting because since all the weapons are more extreme, there's a lot more stuff that you can play around with. There are different checks and balances. I just think that this is a fantastic mode that a lot of people write off as being just like wacky, goofy fun. fun that you can play like once every few months to get it out of your system. I don't know. I have a lot of hours on TF2 times 10. In fact, not to brag, but I was in the top 10 highest scoring players on 3 separate servers in one server network that are all calculated separately. So yeah, I've played this mode a little bit. This is probably my most played mode in the entirety of TF2, but I'm gonna put this in better than normal TF2. I mean, if you've seen my channel, you'll know my thoughts on that. You probably won't agree. Go watch my tier list if you want a better perspective on the mode, but yeah, it's fantastic. You definitely have to try it at least once before you have the ability to complain about it, in my opinion. And finally, we're going to end with Zombie Fortress, which is an anticlimactic ending because I don't know too much about this mode. Zombie Fortress itself, I know that it's like basically the infection mode from Halo, where like these zombies are just like scouts or like certain classes with melees who are trying to kill engineers, and if they do kill the engineers, then the engineers become zombies and they have to try to kill the rest of the engineers, and you get points for surviving. I think that's how it goes. This is one, kind of like Stop That Tank. It looks kind of fun. I would definitely be willing to give it a try or two. I just never see servers with people on them. So who knows? Maybe I'll do a video on this in the future. In fact, let me know, out of all of the game modes that I've not played enough, which one you want me to do a video on, and I'll do a video on it, because, you know, it's fun to try new things, and getting my initial reaction, I'm sure nothing can go wrong with that. Okay, now I want to sort things in the tier, because I've just been throwing them in here. I think Randomizer's the best, Prop Hunt below that, Saxton Hale, actually Gun Games, Saxton Hale, and Class Wars. We'll do Jump Maps, and then this, and then this. Okay, this is really hard. I'll put times 10 here, but Deathmatch, it's hard to just beat screwing around on a trade server for 3 hours. That's how I have as many hours as I do in TF2. But yeah, this is my tier list for community servers. This is in no way me telling you what game modes you should or should not like. This is entirely my personal opinion based on what I've experienced and played, and I would actually be very curious to get the consensus of other people. I have a Discord channel that I actually sent this survey or the tier list out to and had some people fill it out, so if you want to like just come into my Discord server and send me your own list, I enjoy reading through those. I think it's really interesting to see what the opinions of my viewers are, and something like that is always fun to kind of have a discussion about. So I played enough community servers and like other wacky experiences, and I've been around the block enough times that I can make a tier list on like 10 different things just off the top of my head. So yeah, let me know what you want to see next. I'll do these a lot. I like tier lists. I think they're a fun way to sort information. But anyway, sorry for rambling. Go check out my Discord if you want. Let me know what tier list you want to see, and have a good one.